Moana, this is Tina Cross. You know you're in the Cook Islands when you're listening to Matariki FM.
E te atake I roto te ajanga ko te PittBull e te Don no tā rāo tuanga tutua tika I roto I te popungi o. At this time, folks, it's the PittBull and the Don for some straight talking. Kia ora, good morning to you, George.
Yes, good morning to the Don and our listeners. It was pouring down with rain just as I was about to leave in Tupapa.
Okay, well.
But we're here.
You might need to invest in a car.
Well, I'm a bike man, you know.
You're a bikey.
A bikey, yes.
Yeah, okay. Hey, interesting Herald this week. You've got a number of stories. Did you write the paper by yourself this week?
No, I wrote 3 stories. And like I said, that as a result of the new leader of the opposition, first...
Your leader of the opposition?
Sorry, leader of the Democratic Party. Okay. Apologies.
Yeah.
First media conference, she dished up so much material which was self-inflicting, and so it's given the media many stories to write in reply to her comments.
Right.
And the comment she made about me after ringing up Tony Hakora was just a bunch of blatant lies, and probably in the next Herald I will print the text that she sent to me, and I'll print the text I sent to her, because she's blatant lying, and she's, you know, I hope she wasn't doing that in her legal practice. Yeah. So I would disagree with what she was telling Tony.
Right.
And she rang up after I was off the show, so I couldn't contest what she said.
Is there something in the Herald about it?
No. Yes. It's there's a piece there from Tony's.
This is in Tony's section.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well,
she said I acted unprofessionally. You know, that's nonsense. I was just responding to her comment sent by text.
Okay.
The comment was that you know, she wants to call a meeting on a Friday, and I reply saying, well, you know, where and when are we going to have this meeting, and what's the subject? You want questions, but you don't tell us what you want to talk about. And she took offence to that.
Okay.
And
trying to find Tony's stuff. Yeah, carry on.
So she made a comment about it, and when I text her back, she said, "Who is this?" Hey, you know, she sends me a text. You know, she got my number, sends me a text. I replied to it. Then she says to me, "Oh, who's this?" I thought, hang on a minute. You just sent me a text. Surely you must have known who you were sending the text message to. You know, it's just nonsense.
All right.
And I said, take one guess. And she said, I don't know. Well, the original text came from her. I respond. She responds. I respond. And she said she didn't know who this person was, so she didn't give the details. Well, that's just nonsense. Anyway, let's not waste our time talking about a historical event.
All right. Okay, well, let's look at your first story. Demo leadership to be contested. Tina Brown's eligibility in question. Explain. I haven't really had time to go through this.
Well, it's about whether she was eligible to stand, because the Democratic Party constitution is very clear. You have to be a paid-up member. And so I'm asking the question that several other people are asking. You know, was she eligible? Because was she a paid-up member?
Yeah.
Only she knows that. And she should be brutally honest and say that, yes, I am a member. Here's my membership card and here's my receipt when I became a member. And so the question is, if she's not a member, then she should resign forthwith, stand down, or say she's not a member. Because, you see, this is the trouble with the Democratic Party. They say, they point fingers everywhere, but look what they get up to. You know, they're saying the government's not honouring the Constitution, but are they following their own Constitution? Well, obviously not, because they're supposed to have a conference every year. This one was every 2 years.
Yeah.
And they make up rules as they go along. And, you know, let's be honest. If you're not a paid-up member, you're not eligible to stand. That's for everybody that stood. And so everybody should be scrutinised to see whether they were paid-up members. And it's been strongly suggested to me that many of the people that did stand for positions were not paid-up members of the Democratic Party. This makes a whole farce of the conference. And she should be honest. She's a lawyer. She knows right from wrong. She should face the public and say, yes, I am a member. Here's my membership card, and here's the date I was issued a receipt.
Okay.
And what constituency is she a member of?
That's interesting. I noted in her radio chat with Tony the other day. What day was that? On
Monday.
Monday. Yeah. She's saying, well, why aren't the media asking me the questions? Why are they asking the questions to themselves?
Well, she calls the media conference. We didn't call it. We didn't say we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah.
We have some questions to ask you. She calls the meeting and says, well, all your questions have to be in by 4 o'clock on Thursday.
All right. So in regards to this one here, the eligibility question of Tina, who do you ask in regards to membership?
Well, we should ask her and say, be honest. Be
okay.
Transparently honest.
So this is pointed to Tina to tell everyone whether she is or not.
Well, no, it's just raising the questions.
Raising the question,
that
okay.
others are asking.
All right. Look, I didn't see the or see or hear the jailed story that you've got here. George Pitt to be jailed immediately. Can you shed more light on that? How did this whole thing come out? Well, how did you find out about it?
Well, because there was mention to me about her comments about Band-Aid tar sealing.
Oh, yeah.
As was appeared in the Cook Island News on the Saturday morning. Her comment. A couple of things which were totally incorrect, and obviously doesn't do her homework, doesn't have anyone doing proper research for her. So I was asked, did your TV news screen her comments? So I had asked some of the station, look, I need to look through those comments before Monday. So I got a copy of what was said. And just to check, because we don't want to be sued for something that, because Triad were pretty annoyed. And I thought, look, well, I better check out and find out whether we did screen her comments. So I got a copy of the news, and then I got a copy of the original footage, because I was not sure whether I wanted to be sure what she said, and I wanted to make sure that it was about a 25-30 minute interview, whether they were going to play another segment on the Monday. Then I picked up she was making some comments that made reference to me. A question was put to her, as it's in the paper, and she says, then she says, and then the reporter from the Cook Island News interjected and said, you like that one? Then she looked and said, immediately. And he says, thank you, fantastic. And
okay.
They got off. This is how they started the conference, talking about George Pitt.
Okay.
I mean, the reporter from the Cook Island News doesn't ask anything about the government or the Cook Islands Party, and she wastes her time starting off her conference by talking about the media.
Right. Okay, so in regards to the one that motivated you to get the footage of the interview or the media conference on Friday, this is the triad component. So have you had a chat with Triad about it?
Well, yes, because I gave them assurance, no, our local news didn't publish those comments. And I do have a copy, and if they would like to see it, they're most welcome to it.
Right. So have they seen it? Have they had a look at it?
I'm not sure, because I said where they could get it from.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But they're not happy.
They're not happy.
And they have reason not to be happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are they planning anything? Do you know?
Well, you'll have to ask them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm asking you if you know.
Well, I don't. I'm sure.
You don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they did speak to Minister Mark Brown about it, because in a conversation I had with Mark Brown, he raised that with me. I said, look, as far as I know, we didn't screen or make any reference to that comment.
Right. Okay. Well, is there... I mean, it's all there in the Herald, so is there anything else you want to raise in regards to the Herald? Did you listen to Tina yesterday morning?
No.
No, you don't want to raise this? Any more stuff out of the Herald, or no, you didn't listen to Tina yesterday?
On your program?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, yes, I did briefly listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I noticed that she got herself in a corner and couldn't get out over a couple of issues raised with her.
Well, what are your thoughts then on the Prime Minister, Henry Puna, controlling both government and the opposition, with Rose Brown as leader of the opposition?
Well, that's an interesting situation there, and it's all very well to say, oh, we'll sort that out later. Those are the kind of comments you get from them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do. And so that's their response. Oh, that'll be sorted out later. Like the question is, who is going to be a spokesperson in the Parliament? I'm thinking very carefully about that. Well, you know, what is to think about? You don't have much of a choice. And whoever you pick, you can be assured that the masses of the Democratic Party have no confidence in that person. Otherwise, that person would have been elected to be their leader.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other point that she made yesterday in regards Rose Brown, a very delicate one. Last week we talked about Rose and her in two frames of mind in regards resigning or not resigning. Have you got anything?
Well, there's no reason for her to resign from Parliament. None at all, except, as we've said it all along, the greedy, grubby demos want to get their hands on the leader of the opposition's office budget.
Right.
Because without that, you know, they're cash-strapped, they're insolvent. They can't pay the bills.
Well, do you know whether that subject was raised in the media conference last week?
Well, she made a comment because she was asked to in a question that was put about would she follow Albert and resign, and she basically said no. No one's challenged her about her position. You know, the Democratic Party went to the High Court and got a judgment, and against Albert Nicholas, and that sort of prompted Albert to move it along. But no one's done anything against Rose, and so why should she resign? You know, Albert resigned after a lot of consultation with his committee and his constituency, but Rose's folk and Archer say no, you just stay there.
Right.
There's no need for her to resign.
Okay. And
I wouldn't resign if I was Rose. You know, if she resigned, went back, and they had another by-election, it's not going to change anything, you know, in terms of number-wise.
Right. Okay.
Now, if they somehow miraculously win the Rapa seat, then she may have a reason to resign. So to guarantee the numbers in the House. But you see, Henry's Puna's too shrewd. He's too smart politically. he had found a way around that. He might just go back to the polls.
Okay. Well, tonight, the last of the... Well, we don't know whether tonight is the last of the candidates, which is Teina Rongo is launching his campaign, because the registrations close midday tomorrow, so there could still be someone else that puts their hand up to run. But tonight, Dana's launching his campaign. Friday, we were invited to attend the Cook Islands Party launch of Arapati's campaign, likewise with John Henry's a couple of days ago. Do you want to give us some comments on the by-election and the campaigning, the style of campaigning that might be coming out of the woodwork over the next couple of weeks from all sectors?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen anything in the media concerning Albert Nicholas's campaign in terms of advertising,
right,
or promotion.
Mm-hmm.
But Teina Rongo's got a TV commercial made. It was strange that yesterday, I understand that when he was on the radio, that afterwards he didn't want to be interviewed for television.
Oh.
Yeah. They said, look, we'd like to get an interview. He said no. And the reason being was last time he was on television, he didn't come across all that well. So he didn't want to be interviewed by television.
Oh, I see.
And yet his ad portrays him as someone that's quite sophisticated, someone that's quite savvy in political and media things. But that's what I was told, that he refused to be interviewed. So someone else was interviewed.
Right. Well, that's definitely interesting.
Well, I mean, he's got to capitalise on his opportunities. You know, an interview for the news is free promotion. You know.
Yeah.
But to turn that down because he wasn't comfortable how he came across on television, you know, it's just mumbo jumbo stuff.
Okay, well, setting that aside, let's look at the campaigns then. What do you know of Arapati's campaign? What do you know of John Henry's? We'll probably find out. Are you going to go along to Dana's tonight?
I haven't been invited. I'm not invited to any Democratic Party activities, William.
Well, we'll soon find out tonight whether there is still a block on media.
Well, you see, you know, I went to Albert Nicholas's one because I was personally invited by two members of their committee.
Well, I came too. Don't forget that.
So, and also because they promised me the red carpet treatment.
Yeah.
When I got there, it was all green. There was no red, it was just a lot of green.
Green carpet. Okay. Yeah. So how did you think that went?
Well, I think it went okay for a political launch. But you see, this feeding the masses is very non-existent now because of the treating under the rules. And so if they were giving away free food, their place would have been, you know, half of Awachu would have been there.
Right.
And plus Tupapa and everywhere else, you know, get a free feed. But those days seem to be gone. And people are accepting that.
All right. Okay, well, and what do you know of John's one?
Well, I know that not that many people showed up. And also that he intends standing. He's not being endorsed by the Cook Islands Party president, Ngā Jesse. And so I understand he's going to be putting himself forward as a independent candidate of some sorts.
Right. Okay.
And good luck to him.
Well, I think, George, you should gate crash Taina's tonight and hear it straight from the man's mouth what he's going to be able to do. And I guess the platform of his campaign.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's my night. That's my Thursday's my day out.
Yeah, that's right. And you may as well make it the
full.
full.
You know where I go normally on a Thursday.
Oh, well, okay. Enough of that. Anything? Let's have a look at some of the issues before we run out of time. I mean, those were issues, but let's look at some other issues, if you've got any, from government side.
Well, there's a question that surfaced about a seriously damaged motor vehicle car.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's sitting up at Pickering Motors at the moment. It was one of those Hyundais brought in by the government. For
is it a government one?
Yes, it's a GA vehicle.
Mm.
The GA vehicle was at Eternal Affairs and used by Bradina Drollett. And originally that black car was Albert Nicholas's, the Minister of Internal Affairs. But they did a swap because Internal Affairs had a pickup truck which was more practical, more useful to Minister Albert Nicholas. So they did a swap. So she gets the brand new Hyundai, he gets the truck to use for the practical things around his constituency. And apparently she takes the car with her to her new job at the Prime Minister's office and leaves the new acting CEO, Paul Allsworth, driving maybe a pickup or something. You know, he's got a lesser vehicle. Well, that vehicle that Bradina took with her has been seriously damaged in some sort of accident. Can't get any police report, and it's all been hushed. So we put it out there. If anybody knows what happened,
There must be witnesses.
there must be witnesses, and the police
Got
surely must have a police report.
Interesting.
So, you know, that's as much as I know so far, or I'm willing to say so far. But
Those cars aren't cheap.
no,
It's a car like the Prime Minister's.
that's right.
Yeah, it's quite flash. So, what's it doing? What's it doing at Pickering Motors?
I'm not too sure. Maybe they're the Hyundai agents. Maybe they do the servicing on the Hyundai vehicles. But this has just come to light in the last day or so. So I got someone looking into it. I'm looking into it myself.
So,
We need to ask some questions of the police. Is there a police report about the accident?
well, last week you were saying to me, I can't remember what day it was. You were telling me that there's so many people, so many policemen have resigned from the force. Maybe is that a reason why there's no report? Maybe it's gone with those people.
Well, I understand something like 8 police officers have resigned
Yeah.
in the last month or so. And there are others planning to resign because I'm told that a lot of government jobs that are advertised, the applicants have been, a majority of applicants have been from the police. They're police officers applying for government jobs all over the place. And that's what I've been told. I've been told I've checked, I've rung the ministries that are advertising, and I said, what sort of responses do you get? And quite a few of them said that we're getting a lot of police officers applying for jobs, or this particular job that was being advertised.
Okay.
So that's an indication that several other police officers are job hunting, and you know, something like 8 have already resigned recently.
Okay, let's come back to the black car that you raised earlier. So sitting at where did you, Pickering Motors, and so you've got some guys looking into this. What do you?
Well, we need to get a photograph of it, but we got to respect that that's private property.
What's private?
Pickering Motors, you know, it's a business.
So I need to get some consent from them.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we could have some photos.
Right.
But as far as I know, Bradina hasn't been approached, and we were waiting to see what would surface before we start doing some digging. But obviously, there's people out there that know what happened.
Yeah. I wonder whether the minister knows.
Well, the question is, who was driving the car and who was with the driver at the time of the accident?
Yeah. Was the person or the driver intoxicated?
Yes, all these questions need to be looked into. You understand, whenever there's an accident, the driver is tested, is breathalyzed. That's standard procedure. Unlike the time when the Prime Minister had his accident, he was not breathalyzed, and yet people there at the scene said his breath smelt of alcohol.
So, do you know whether... I can't remember. Was there a police report done on the Prime Minister's incident?
Oh, yes, but
There
he was
was.
not breathalyzed.
Okay.
What they did was they took the victim of the accident to hospital and they tested him instead.
Okay.
He didn't cause the accident, but the whole thing got turned around and probably looking to see whether he was, 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, he was going off somewhere, I think towards the market,
Yeah.
and made him look like he was the culprit of the accident or the cause.
George, there was so much noise made about these cars that were brought in for the celebrations in 2015. And I can recall Richard Neves saying that these cars would be sold, or if not, put into the government pool. But no one's actually talked about how these cars were paid for. Yeah, there was some detail on the payments being made, but nothing in terms of appropriation and.
Oh yeah, because they said that we will recover this money very quickly.
Yeah.
And it'll be almost like the money wasn't spent at all.
Like a journal, yeah.
In actual fact, they could have made a profit on selling the cars.
Yeah, some of them were, I know that some of them were sold privately, but I'm not sure how many were sold and at what price.
Oh, yes, well, that information has never been disclosed to the public. We several inquiries were made at the time, but that came up across against a block wall that would have needed an intervention of the Freedom of Information Act.
Right.
And they know very well that they can stall, they can delay giving that information.
Okay, well, coming back to the Black Beast, or Black Beauty, you call it whatever it is, this Hyundai, if the driver was intoxicated, obviously this person should be responsible for paying for the damages and that, or the repairs.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, who pays for the damage? And if it was being used after hours, and what is the context of the use?
Yeah. Well, interesting, George. Okay, we've only got a minute left. Anything else you want to touch on? Any other issues you want to raise?
Well, that's about it, I think, and I'm very interested to see how the Democratic Party leader is going to play out her confession or her proving of her membership. It's like when Obama became the president of America. He had to go out and prove that he was eligible to stand after he was elected. And no matter how much he produced documents, and people were convinced that he was still lying.
Okay.
And as someone said to me that, well, anyone can forge the documents, but, let Tina Brown be honest with herself and honest with the public. And if you're going to accuse this government of being dishonest, show some honesty yourself. And if you're not a paid-up member, resign, and resign immediately. But that leaves the door open. Who would replace her?
Okay.
Would they revert back to Smiley Heather? Or would they go for the second person in the voting, James Beer? But then again, another question was raised, well, if she wasn't eligible to stand and it was down to James Beer and Smiley, who would have won? You know, Smiley might have picked up all her votes.
Good question.
So maybe the Democrat Party need to have a special conference to elect a new leader. You know, they should stop talking about Rose resigning and say to their leader, maybe if you're not a member of the party, maybe you should resign.
Okay, George, we're out of time. Thank you for your straight talking this morning. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Okay, listeners. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Kia ora ana, this is Tina Cross. You know you're in the Cook Islands when you're listening to Matariki FM.